Greetings, everyone. Welcome to TC's Vinyl Archive, the complete album collection. I'm TC Kirkham, TKR Video Central, and we are on part 4, I believe, where we're going to start with the M.A.s, and we'll be going through the early R's in this group on my male artists. So, everybody has been following along. That's how far we are. We're almost to the end of the males. I believe there's only a couple more cubes to go. We will kick things off with a gentleman I happen to be a huge fan of, no matter where he's performing. This is Eric Martin. Eric Martin's album from 1986, I believe, featured the single, I believe, off here was Finders Keepers. Great album, terrific vocalist, and Information was also a single. I've been a fan of Eric Martin since way back, and I remain a fan to this day, now that he's with, was with Mr. Big until officially last year. This is also from the mid-'80s, his second solo album. I'm Only Fooling Myself. The title track was a minor hit. He also had a couple of other singles off here, but neither one of them clicked. Great, great album. I love this dude. And the first album he released was this one. This is when he had a band, the Eric Martin Band, Sucker for a Pretty Face. 1984, I believe, was the release date. Again, no big hits. There's the rest of the band there. No big hits off this, but terrific album all the way around. Martin just does not do bad stuff, and I've loved everything he did with Mr. Big, and I love his, as I said, I think 2008 CD Timeless, which is all covers. All of songs performed by females prior to that. Next up, I have a few things I picked up. I believe these came from, I believe, Dawn, maybe a couple from Value Vinyl. These are all classics from the great Johnny Mathis. This is Love Story from 1970. His versions of Love Story, It's Impossible, We've Only Just Begun, For the Good Times, My Sweet Lord, all, the crooners did a lot of covering back then, and they still do today. Next up, Song Sung Blue from about a year later. This one has Johnny's versions of Play Me, Alone Again Naturally, Where Is the Love, Goodbye to Love, How Can I Be Sure, and several more. All the way back to his early days on Columbia. This is Warm. I believe this is from 1960. And I don't have a date here. This I don't really know anything that was a hit off here, but it's a possibility. I wasn't listening to him. One of those may have been a hit, and it features Percy Faith and his orchestra. This is You Light Up My Life, the fourth and final Mathis I have. This includes You Light Up My Life, If You Believe, From the Wiz, Emotion, and his #1 smash, Too Much, Too Little, Too Late, with Denise Williams from 1978. I have a couple of copies of this. I bought a more recent copy because mine actually got quite a bit of use when I had it. This is Ian Matthews and Stealing Home. Of course, he was the leader of Matthews Southern Comfort in the early 70s. Had one hit off this, Shake It. This is the one I purchased recently. This is the one that came from Ears. You can see the little cutout thing there. Great album, singer-songwriter stuff, really terrific sounding stuff. Michael McDonald and his first solo album, If That's What It Takes. This has his hit, I Keep Forgetting on it. I have a couple of his, 2 or 3, I don't know if I have all 3 or not, of his Motown albums from the 2000s also. Love Michael McDonald, great vocalist. This was a music on vinyl release a couple years ago, and I picked it up for a decent price. Meatloaf and Midnight at the Lost and Found. This is from produced by Tony Dowd, and it was during that period where he was having difficulties with his usual producer, Jim Steinman. Nothing was a really big hit off this, but it is a favorite of Meatloaf fans everywhere. This is Don McLean, and Don McLean, this is his second album on United Artists, features his hit Dreidel, or Dreidel. No other big hits came off this, but a dreidel did get quite a bit of airplay when it was out. Gentleman I love and I've talked about a number of times on other shows. This is Glenn Medeiros. This is his debut album from 1986. Features his top 20 hit, Nothing's Gonna Change My Love for You, and two more minor hits, Watching Over You and his cover of Jermaine Jackson's Lonely Won't Leave Me Alone. Fantastic album. As is the follow-up. This is one of the things I have on all three four technically, because I ripped the CD. Have it on vinyl, have it on CD, have it on cassette, and I have it on digital. Glenn Medeiros and Not Me from 1988. This album did not have any big hits on it, but I love it because Tom Keene of the Keene Brothers produced several songs, co-wrote a couple songs, and prominently sings backup on the first single, Never Get Enough of You. Really terrific album. And next up, my collection of this gentleman. I think he was one of the best out there. This is the first of the three, Sergio Mendes and Brazil 86. This was the one that didn't have any major hits off of it on the pop chart. I believe a couple of them may have hit on the adult contemporary chart. I don't remember. I got this, I believe, as a cutout. There's the notch right there. Terrific stuff. My favorite album by Mendes, Confetti from 1984, features his hit Olympia, which is should be the official Olympic theme song every year, but it's not. Also has a lot of great other songs on it. Alibis was a minor hit, so was Real Life, at least on the AC chart. I love this album. And the album that marked his comeback, which was his self-titled 1982 album, this includes his top 10 hit Never Gonna Let You Go, which features Joe Pizzullo and Lisa Miller, I think her name is, and also Rainbow's End, which was a major AC hit. I'd love to know if anybody in England knows what happened to this gentleman. Let me know. I believe he is English. I love this dude. He never got any airplay here in the States that I know of, except on Nick Rocks, where they played the two singles all the time, and it was really terrific. This is Warren Mills' self-titled debut from 1985. Features Sunshine and Flame in the Fire, the latter of which was Biochemistry also. The middle there, Flame in the Fire, was a #1 Kirkham Report hit. Fantastic vocalist at just 15. Really stupendous. Next group. I picked this up in the cutout bin a couple years after it came out. Plain Brown Wrapper from Gary Morris. This is all covers. It features a lot of country classics. I love his version of Honeycomb, the Jimmy Rogers song. And he also does a couple of other songs, including Lovesick Blues, which is not my favorite Hank Williams song. I have a reason for that, but really good stuff from Gary. Before he officially added his middle name to his stage name, this is Michael Murphy, Blue Sky, Night Thunder. This is his 1975 classic that features Wildfire and Carolina in the Pines. Of course, later on, when he started doing country music, he became Michael Martin Murphy. From 1981, Rick Nelson and Playing to Win. This had his single, It Hasn't Happened Yet. Really great little album. People tend to forget Rick continued to perform. That's what Garden Party was all about, people. This is a great album. First of three from this gentleman. I have liked him for years, and I picked this up a couple years ago when it came out. This is Michael Nesmith, Different Drum, the Lost RCA Victor recordings. This is a 2-record gatefold, and features a lot of stuff that he recorded that never came out, and some other tracks, and a couple of versions of songs that I believe he actually did, or at least offered the Monkees at some point. There's some alternate takes on here. Includes his version of Different Drum, which was a big hit for the Stone Ponies, featuring Linda Ronstadt. This really terrific stuff. And I have two of his albums from when he was the leader of Michael Nesmith and the First National Band. This is the second album, Loose Salute. It featured a song called Silvery Moon, which I believe was a #1 Kirkham Report hit. I have to look and see, because that would have been on my 70 to 78 #1 list. And there was the first album, Magnetic South, that featured his only post-Monkees top 40 pop hit, Joanne. Really good song, really good album. Picked both of these up from a neighbor when they were getting rid of their albums way back in the early 80s. Terrific albums, both of them. I used to do occasionally mail order auctions when I was in my early 20s, and one of the first things I bought in that auction was this. It's water damaged. I only paid $2 for it, but the album itself is in good shape. This is Leonard Nimoy, Mr. Spock's Music from Outer Space. Leonard is passable as a singer, way better than Bill Shatner is. He's not perfect, but this does have, various things on it, and unfortunately, it's the second album that has the Ballad of Bilbo Baggins, but I do like his version of Where Is Love from Oliver. Picked this up on vinyl a couple years ago. I have already had the CD for years. This is Robbie Neville at his debut self-titled album with C'est La Vie, Dominoes, and What's It To Ya on it. Robbie was fantastic. I have his second CD as well. Now he's mostly doing songwriting, but he was really... This album is great. It's on Manhattan, one of the few things I have on vinyl on Manhattan. Really, really terrific stuff. I want to say this came from Dawn also. And there's no big hits off of it. But, of course, he never really had what you would call big pop hits. He had big, easy listening hits when he was younger. This is Wayne Newton. It's Only the Good Times. I believe this came out in 1968 or so. As I said, nothing I remembered off here, but it's his usual stellar performance. There's a reason the man has been a staple in Vegas for over 50 years. Nilsson Schmilsson. This was RCA's 2023 re-release through Vinyl Me Please. I was able to pick it up as a special when I was doing the Vinyl Me Parton series. Of course, this is classic Nilsson. Without You and Coconut on this album. Phenomenal, as always. Kenny Nolan, songwriter best known, but he did have a couple of hits off this album. I Like Dreamin' and Love's Grown Deep in 1976. Typical singer-songwriter pop from the mid-70s. Three of my favorite heavy metal albums that I have always loved, or hard rock, actually. I don't know if I consider him metal for the hair salon show, but your mileage may vary. This is Aldo Nova, his self-titled debut album from 1981, features his top 40 hit Fantasy. Great stuff all the way along this album. Fooling Yourself is great. It's another song I play regularly on Friday Night Hair Salon. Second album I like even better. That's Subject, Aldo Nova. This features isn't that the one, or is that the... Maybe I'm wrong. Let me check. I always get them confused. No, it's here somewhere. I just thought it was... No, it's not the last track on the album. That's why I was confused. Features his great power ballad, Victim of a Broken Heart. Also, Monkey on Your Back, which was a MTV hit. And Africa, Primal Love. Aldo was fantastic. This was his third album, which did not sell that well, Twitch. I think it's pretty damn good. The fourth album I have on CD. That's the one produced by John Bon Jovi. This one features Tonight, Let Me Up, Rumors of You, and Fallen Angel, all of which were pretty big rock hits for him. Believe it or not, I do have some of this guy. I bought this in the cutout bin. Has a couple of really good songs on it. This is Ted Nugent and Nugent from 1983. And I picked this up. I believe this came from Steve at Value Vinyl. This is his debut album way back from 1976, I believe. And I don't really know much of it. I've only listened to it once. I'm not a big Nugent fan, but I like certain songs. Next up, I picked this up from Record Crate, and listened to it once, and it's pretty cool. This is Kenny Odell, mid-70s singer-songwriter pop, with a slight country bent to it. Nigel Olsson and one of his early solo albums. This did not have any hits on it, but I'll tell you, it's a terrific album. Nigel does not get the credit he deserves as an artist. Of course, everybody knows he is just one of the best musicians on the planet. He's been a session musician for decades, but he deserves more for his vocal power. He's terrific too. Roy Orbison, and sadly his final album before his passing, Mystery Girl, features You Got It. This came out, he passed away just after the album was released. He was poised for a major comeback thanks to the solo stuff and the Traveling Wilburys. Great album. I mean, Roy Orbison is just an incredible musician. I have 3 albums by this gentleman, and I think people, again, don't give him credit because, of course, his whole fame is from the Is It Elvis or Isn't It Elvis? This is Orion and Fresh. Features his version of several classic songs. I'm trying to remember which ones here because I've got 3 of them and I'm not sure which one's on which. And it comes with a press kit for this one. Then there is Reborn. This is the one where they tried to pass him off as Elvis. On yellow vinyl, as you can see. Actually, it's more gold vinyl. Again, the man, for everything that he's worth, he was a terrific singer on his own. I mean, you didn't need to think he was Elvis. Although some people did. Kim did a couple shows on that, and she did a whole show on him too. This is the other one, Rockabilly. This is a promo copy, and it was all exactly what it says, old classic rockabilly. My favorite solo album from any member of the Cars, Elliot Easton is close. Benjamin Orr and the Lace features his top 20 hit Stay the Night, which was the #1 song of the year in the Kirkham Report 1987, I believe. Great song. Great solo album from him. I like the Cars, but Ben Orr and I love Elliot Easton's solo album. I just picked it up from Jim at Radio Wasteland a few weeks ago for a really good price. I had never had it, but we had it as a promo when I worked for Buzzard's Nest back in 85, 86, and it was terrific. This one is just as good. Now, let's talk Osmond, shall we? Perk up your ears, Professor Carlson. This is your favorite artist. I have a number of Donny Osmond albums. This is A Time for Us from 1974. Features his cover of the Romeo and Juliet theme, the Hawaiian wedding song, and When I Fall in Love and Are You Lonesome Tonight were both singles hits for him off this album. I have 2 copies of Disco Train from 1976. I didn't mean to. I forgot I ordered it, and I ordered a second one. I got them both for $1. This has Come On Marianne, which was his last top 40 hit until Soldier of Love in 1989. It's got a lot of dance music on it, but Donny is not exactly the best at disco, but he tries. Then there's his debut album, the Donny Osmond album from 1971, features Sweet and Innocent. I played this to death. I marked it up and everything here on the back. It's not in the best of shape. Neither is Portrait of Donny from 1972. This has got Puppy Love, Hey Girl, and I thought is there one other single? No. But this is actually, I think, my favorite of his albums because he does a lot of great stuff and he's variety. He does the ballads, the remakes, some terrific up-tempo stuff, and shows off that he really is a really terrific vocalist. And he was 13 or 14 when this came out. There's the middle one that came between those two, To You With Love, Donny. Go Away Little Girl is on this album, and Hey Girl, I think, or is that, no, that's on the other one. I love his cover of I'm Into Something Good, the Herman's Hermit song. Great album. If you're into Donny Osmond. And Donny Osmond, Too Young. Too Young was a hit off this album, so was his cover of Why, the Frankie Avalon song. That covers the Donnie, but it doesn't cover the Jimmy. This is Little Jimmy Osmond, Killer Joe. This album is unplayable. It is off-center, and so it doesn't sound good at all. Never found another one. This is another one I got from the same auction company that I got the Mr. Spock album from, and I wish they'd tested it because I was very disappointed that we couldn't listen to it much. I mean, it plays Long-Haired Lover with from Liverpool with a little bit, without too much distortion, but it really doesn't. And this was the follow-up album the following year, Little Arrows. I've just picked this up fairly recently. Oh, this actually, wait a minute, that can't be right. This actually says 73, so maybe he recorded later than I thought. There was no major hits off this. At least Long-Haired Lover from Liverpool actually hit the top 40 for 1 week. Okay, next group. Picked this up a couple years ago from a used version. And this is one of the albums that didn't have a really big hit off of it. It has Get Down. That's the only hit on here. It is a cutout. I'm a writer, not a fighter. Gilbert O'Sullivan. I've always been partial to his music. I like his style. He's similar to Eric Carmen in the way he writes. And but you know, I never really bought anything but the singles. And this I thought I'd grab because it was on sale for $4, and I'm like, okay, I'll grab it. David Pack and his solo album, founding member of Ambrosia, as it says there, that picked this up from Dawn. This was 1983, I believe. And Prove Me Wrong, no, 85 it must be, because Prove Me Wrong is on here. That was featured in White Nights. He is terrific, and this is your typical post-Ambrosia sound, still has the same kind of sound. Really good album. Ray Parker Jr., Girls Have Sex and the Single Man. Girls Are More Fun was the hit single off this. And I don't think there were anything else. If there was, I don't remember. Ray, again, one of those people that you knew as a session musician before radio started. And then, of course, he went solo with Ghostbusters and stayed that way. Couple of albums I picked up for the first time a few years ago from Record Crate. I have always loved this album. My grandparents had it. And my mom was a fan of the TV show. And he really was a stupendously good singer and songwriter. And I wish he'd done better with it. He did have, I mean, the hits were okay on the country and pop chart, but they weren't huge. And he deserved better. This is the first of them. Long Lonesome Highway from Michael Parks. Really terrific. And that, of course, Long Lonesome Highway was the theme song from his TV series, Then Came Bronson. And he followed that up with Found. This was a terrific album out as well. Lost and Found is the full title. This has some serious wear on it, and this is still worth it. It's still in pretty good shape and plays well, and it's a great album. John Parr, his debut album. This is the album with Naughty Naughty. Does not include St. Elmo's Fire or Two Hearts, which were on later albums. Really good artist. I don't know why he never really clicked here. He did well on the rock tracks chart, and of course St. Elmo's Fire was a monster hit, but other than that he never really did all that well, and that's a shame because I love some of his later stuff too, like Blame It on the Radio, which is on the next album that I don't have, so good stuff. Teddy Pendergrass, duets, Love and Soul. This features duets from several albums by him and other artists, including Angie Stone, Martha Reeves, Rose Royce, Maxi Priest, a whole bunch. It's kind of I wouldn't call it a greatest hits album. It's more of a collection album. But the man, the voice was incredible and still is. Teddy Pendergrass. This came out in 2020 or 2019. This is an alternate version of that album. I picked it up when it came out. This is Steve Perry, Traces, alternate versions, and sketches. Traces had a couple of good songs on it, and this features acoustic and stripped down versions of most of the songs from that album. Steve is still in great voice, and I don't think he's ever going to speak the other guys in Journey again, but he never stops being terrific. Again, actors or actors adjacent who sang It is what it is. It's time for Regis Philbin. Regis is not a bad singer. He did a successful cabaret show with Kathy Lee Gifford for years when they were hosting Live with Regis and Kathy Lee, and then later he would do it with his wife Joy. I miss him. He was one of the best TV hosts ever, Regis Philbin, and it's time for Regis. My group of 3 albums by one of my favorite artists of the 80s who is completely unsung and unfairly unsung. His name is Jim Photoglow. This is the second album, Fool in Love with You. It was a major, minor pop hit. It peaked at like number 23. I love this dude. This album is great. Also includes Ruled by My Heart, More to Love, Run to Me. I don't know what were released as singles other than Fool in Love with You. But he was terrific. The first album, he was billed simply as Photoglow. That's this one. This includes his top 40 hit, We Were Meant to Be Lovers, and his top 50 AC hit, When Love Is Gone. Really good stuff. Again, singer-songwriter, early 80s. His third album came out in 83 or 84. This is The Thin Man. This is the last one I have by him. He's had a couple others that were independently released, and he had a couple of bands in the late 80s and early 90s. Jim is a phenomenally good, there's that word again, a phenomenally good songwriter and a more than adequate vocalist, and I think he deserved better than he got. Especially, I like his cover of I Think We're Alone Now on this album. Unfortunately, Tiffany would do him better later, a few years later. This is David Pomerantz. It is a cutout. If you don't know who David Pomerantz is, he is a songwriter, probably best known, I believe, for Trying to Get the Feeling, if I'm not mistaken. But as a singer, he recorded a couple of tracks for the soundtrack of Zapped, I think it was. Trying to remember which soundtrack it was from the early 80s, and I fell in love with his voice. And when I found this in the cutout band, I'm like, I want that, and it's terrific. This is from 78 or 79, and is on Arista Records. David, you can find David's writing all over hits of the late 70s and early 80s. And a couple by Prince. I have most of the Prince I have is on CD, but I do have the OG of Around the World in a Day with its little flap there. Of course, this was Pop Life, Raspberry Beret, a couple other hits, Take Me With You. And Prince and the Revolution Parade from a couple years later. Great stuff. And finally, the last set for this show, my Jerry Rafferty collection. I am a huge Jerry Rafferty fan. People who know me know that Baker Street is my favorite song of all time, and City to City is my favorite album of all time. This is his early 70s debut, Can I Have My Money Back? This came out between the band he was in with Billy Connolly. I can't remember the name of it. The Mugwumps, is that the right one? And Steelers Wheel. I am not enamored with this. It's a little too eclectic for my taste, and it was early, before Steelers Wheel made him a major star. And then, as I said, City to City is my favorite album of all time. This is the album I go to when I want to have something classic that I love. It includes Baker Street, Right Down the Line, Home and Dry, and Whatever's Written in Your Heart, which was an album hit. This guy can do no wrong, and this album can do no wrong. It is fabulous. And so is the sound on this 2-record version released on orange vinyl in 2023. This is the brand new reissue, and it is worth it. If you see it at Walmart, grab it, because you'll love it. Sound quality is excellent. This is Jerry Rafferty, self-titled, and came out later. It was recorded in 1974 after Steelers Wheel, but he couldn't release it, and it didn't come out, I don't believe, until 1978. It was released in the wake of the success of City to City. Again, it's younger Rafferty, not terrible, but I don't like the older stuff as much as I liked the more current stuff. The follow-up to City, um, which is... Nope, not yet. That's coming later. This is the later one, 1980s Night Owl. Included his last top 40 hit, Days Gone Down, and Get It Right Next Time. So maybe this is the middle one. I was thinking this is the later one, but I might be wrong. Great stuff all the way around, just as good as City to City. Almost, not quite, because it doesn't have Baker Street on it. This one I got from Record Crate. It's one of the newer ones that I had not had, and because I lost track in the mid '80s. I missed a lot of stuff. I'm still trying to get it all because I adore the man. This is a promo copy from K91. Typical Rafferty, it says. This is Sleepwalking, and I believe it came out in 1990 or so. It's on Liberty Records. It's terrific. Snakes and Ladders, this was the later one. This is the last of the Jerry I have. It had the Royal Mile, which was a minor hit. And that's the last top 40 hit, not the other one. So this is the later album. I also love Welcome to Hollywood and The Garden of England, both of which were singles and deserved better. Picked this up in the cutout bin. I also have the tape of this. Billy Rankin, Growing Up Too Fast, features his hit Baby Come Back, which got some airplay on MTV. It's a pretty good album. Lou Rawls, and when you hear Lou, you've heard it all. That's because he was singing the Budweiser jingle at the time. This is the album featuring his follow-up hit, Lady Love, which was the follow-up to You'll Never Find Another Love Like Mine. We got that on, I play that all the time on Disco Party and on AM 70s. Lou has just one of the most spectacular voices of all time. Always looked forward to seeing him when he did the talk show circuit, The Tonight Show, and Merv Griffin and stuff. Just an amazing vocalist. And of course, people know him also from Garfield. He did a lot of the music from Garfield specials before they went to a weekly series. Chris Ray and Deltics. This album is one of his most critically acclaimed albums. Diamonds, I believe. I know Diamonds was a single. I think Seabird was too. Chris Ray passed away late last year. He is an amazing artist, and I love the other albums, but I never got them. I have a ton of his singles, and I have one of these on tape. One of his albums on tape, the one with the original version of On the Beach on it. Love Chris Ray. He deserved so much better than he got here in the States. Thankfully, UK recognized his talent. One of my favorite artists of recent years, and I really believe that he has a loyal following that keeps him going online without a question. But I don't understand why he doesn't do more on the radio, because he really has some good stuff. This is the Ready Set, and I will be nothing without your love. This is his third full-length album. The title track was there. Let me see. I got to see if it's listed here because I can't remember. Disappearing Act, Good Enough, the title track, and the utterly gorgeous See You come from this album. Jordan Witzegruder, you can look him up under that name on Wikipedia, is a keyboard wizard. He is amazing as a mix artist, does some incredible stuff. He's America's version of Dottie Fryer. I love this guy, and I always will. The Ready Set and I Will Do Nothing Without You. I Will Be Nothing Without Your Love. Everything else, that's the only thing he's released on vinyl as far as I know. I actually asked him about Cherryland, which is the most recent album, but he said he hadn't decided yet. This is Australian child performer Jamie Redfern and When You Wish Upon a Star. He was kind of like Australia's version of Brownie Bryant. Really terrific voice, too. And good album. Again, I know this came from Value Vinyl. Part of the Jim Reeves Rainbow, as he says. Good and country, Jim Reeves. It's your typical mid-'60s country music. Late 60s, actually, yeah, mid-'63, it says here. And I think he was killed in '64, if I'm not mistaken. Always an amazing voice, and of course, I I don't know which songs were hits off of it. I only listened to it once, but the voice is amazing and always will be. Another person from country music that I do actually love and never I miss terribly is Charlie Rich. Behind Closed Doors, this also came from Value Vinyl, if I'm not mistaken. I have a ton of Rich singles, and I have I Feel Love, which is only available on the Benji soundtrack. Love this guy, and this, of course, has Behind Closed Doors and The Most Beautiful Girl on it. And those were the ones that really made him a superstar in the 70s. Finally, my Cliff Richard collection. I have 3 of his 70s and 80s albums. This is I'm No Hero from 1980. It has Dreamin' and A Little in Love and Give a Little Bit More on it. Wired for Sound from 1981, featuring the title track, and Summer Rain, which is the flip side and is an absolutely devastatingly good song, and his cover of Daddy's Home, which is pretty good, and his comeback album in the States, at least, We Don't Talk Anymore from 1979, which features that and Carrie, both which are fantastic. And that is going to do it for this time. Ran a little bit longer than I planned, but a lot of good artists there. We will kick off the next album, the next show, sometime in the next few days, with a child performer who begins with R.I., and we will end it further down the road. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. If you could, please support TKR Studios by donating to our GoFundMe right now, because we are, having some real serious problems and we can use your help. We also have regular spots you can go, Patreon, Ko-Fi, and our swag shop, and we would appreciate your support there too. And I want to see some comments. People asked me for a year and a half to do this show, and I'm getting very few comments. The only person that's commenting on these is Dawn. I got one from DJ Trish the other day. Thank you so much, DJ Trish. Appreciate that, and I'm glad to finally hear from you. I've been a fan for years. The next segments will come shortly, but before it does, 5 comments have to appear on this show. So make sure you get it up. Get comments up there so I can see what you're thinking of this collection. Until next time, I'm TC Kirkham, TKR Video Central. I will see you on the interwebs. Ciao, baby.